The final question is all about the correlation coefficient. We have been given information from the manager of a folder factory who records the number of folders produced by the factory and the production costs for 6 consecutive months, which we have here. So the first thing we're asked to do is draw a scatter graph, and you should have ended up with something that looks like this. In part B, we're asked to write down for this set of data the mean number of folders produced and the mean production cost. So this really is just about using your calculator. So remember that we can just enter this data straight into the calculator and it'll do it for us. So if you go to stats and then edit and enter the 2 columns of data into L1 and L2, we're then going to go back to stats and this time calc 2 variable statistics, because we've got 2 variables, we're not looking at frequency here. So 2 variable analysis stats, check that you've got L1 and L2, which is where you put the data in. We can leave the frequency list blank, click calculate, and you will end up with your 2 answers. So the mean number of folders produced is going to be this one here, X bar, which is 21. And the mean production cost is going to be Y bar here, which is 55. Part C then asks you to label this point on the scatter diagram. So you need to make sure that you've got 21 and 55 labeled here. And in part D, we're then asked to use the GDC to find the Pearson's product moment correlation coefficient R. So before you do this, it's important to make sure that your calculator is set up correctly. So you need to go into the settings function on your calculator and check that you've actually got it set up here. So stats diagnostics. This section here needs to be on. So if you don't have it, it won't actually give you the value of R. So to access this, it's this one here, mode, and then just scroll down and check that you've got this one here. And similarly here, whilst you're at it, check that that one is in degrees. So assuming you set it up correctly, we've already got the data in, so we've entered the data already. So we can go straight to calc. You're going to go to number 4, linear regression, AX plus B, press enter, same as before, press calculate, and this will give you everything you need to know. So the Pearson's product moment correlation coefficient R is this one here, which we can see is going to be 0.990 to 3 sig fig. And we're asked then, state a reason why the regression line C on X is appropriate to model the relationship. Well, that is because we've essentially got a strong correlation here. Remember, there's no point in using the regression line if there's no or weak correlation. So we've got a strong correlation, so it makes sense to use the regression line to model this relationship. In part F then, we're asked to use the GDC to find the equation of the regression line. Well, this is the same screen we had previously. All we're going to do now then is just write this in the form y equals ax plus b. So we're told that a is this one here, so we're going to have y equals 1.94x plus b, and that is b, so 14.2. So that is the equation of the regression line C on X. For part G then, you're asked to draw the regression line of C on X, and you end up with something that looks like this. And the final question then is use the equation of the regression line to estimate the least number of folders that the factory needs to sell in a month to exceed its production cost for that month. So we know that each folder is sold for 2.99 euros. So if you think about it, the revenue that it gets each month is going to be the amount it's sold for. So 2.99 multiplied by the number of units it sells, and we're using X to represent that. So that represents the revenue, and we know that the cost, well, this is the cost here, isn't it? So the cost is going to be 1.94 times the number of units it sells plus 14.2. So we want to know the minimum number to make sure that it exceeds its production costs. So in effect, we want to make sure that the revenue is greater than the costs. So that is the inequality that we want to set up there. So therefore, we want to make sure, or if we solve this inequality, we end up with X is greater than 13.5739, which means that, to three significant figures, X is going to be greater than 13.6, and we know as well that that is in thousands. So the final answer then is that we need to make sure that we sell more than 13,600 folders.